Okay guys, in this section of the video I want to talk about the Glamour game. Now, as I mentioned before, there's some species that can be common and Glamour, so I'm going to go over what I believe is the Glamour game. There's a lot of misnomer of some species aren't allowed, some species have to be in there. But my Glamour game would obviously be the big three. The big three starting out with Lord Derby eland, bongo, and mountain yalla. Now these species are probably like the pinnacle of Africa hunting. It'd be like hunting a Marco Polo sheep or hunting a bighorn here in the Rocky Mountains. These are the animals that are like, for the serious diehard Africa hunter, are top-notch tier trophies. First off, you got the mountain yalla, which is only hunted in Ethiopia. I did that hunt back in 2010. It's an amazing experience in the mountains of Ethiopia. It's just like hunting elk or mule deer here in Wyoming. You're in the mountains, you're glassing, it's super thick actually, so there's very limited glassing available in those mountains. Where we hunted with Jason Russos of Ethiopian Sims Safairs. Probably the only outfitter I'd recommend for you guys to talk to would be Jason. He's a top-notch, world-class outfitter. Him and his dad, Nassos. Nassos is like the OG of mountain yalla hunting. He's been there, done that. He shot the world record himself back many years ago. Nassos is a class act guy. He's what's pretty much kept mountain yalla hunting alive and around. And it's amazing what these father and son have done to protect the habitat for these mountain yalla, because it is really threatened by a lot of the encroachment of coffee farmers and agriculture and stuff like that. So mountain yalla is one of the top tier animals. It's just a pure beautiful animal, and something that any serious diehard African hunter needs to experience is a mountain yalla hunt. Secondly would be the bongo. The bongo is one of the first African species that I even knew of. I just remember seeing this bright orange animal with the white side stripes, and I just thought, wow, what is that thing? I need to hunt one day. Come to find out, they're pretty specialized. They're only hunted in three countries, and they're not a cheap hunt, but it's an experience worth every penny. You have them, they're hunted in the Congo, and then they're hunted in Cameroon as well as in CAR. In between Cameroon and the Congo, they're hunted primarily in the thick, nasty forest with dogs tracking, baying them up, and hopefully getting a shot at a bull, and hopefully it's a big bull. The CAR, there's some different options. They do some dog stuff, but mostly it's sitting in machans and kind of more open area forest stuff with bigger open salines, to where you can sit in a machan and have a little bit of a elevated platform to be able to look in glass, and sometimes you'll be able to catch bongo out in the open because the forest is less thick. There's little dispersants of savanna in between in a lot of that country. Not full savanna, but almost like a grassland type savanna. It's an amazing experience. I'd like to go there and try that. I did the Cameroon experience with the dogs. That was amazing. It took 9 days. It was brutal. It was hot. It rained every day. You need water, you need rain to be able to get the tracks and go after the bongo. So it's a very unique experience. You spend the days driving, checking salines, which is salt licks, and you hope that a bongo track's there. You hope a bongo track's on the road, and then you let the dogs out, and hopefully within a few hours you have found the bongo and been able to bay him up. You do not turn loose on group tracks because you don't have the chance to know what you're going to bay, whether it's a calf or a cow. So you want to just specify in on big bull tracks and hopefully be able to follow them out. The classic rule is a 4-finger track. Is put your fingers down and display. If it's as wide as your 4 fingers, then it's a good track to follow. I have a bunch of YouTube clips on this from my hunt in Cameroon with Dan Moore and Mayor Drury Safaris, if you want to check those out. So the bongo is found in those 3 areas, and then you have the Lord Derby eland. The Lord Derby eland is, I don't know, it's hard to pick which one of those 3 is the most amazing. I have yet to do the Lord Derby eland, so maybe that's why I lean more towards that, just because it's the unknowingness of hunting them. They're hunted in CAR and Cameroon for the Lord Derby, and then you have the western giant eland, which is Senegal. It's closer to the coastline there, but we'll get to that in a second. In Cameroon and in CAR, the Lord Derby eland is all track and savanna. Same thing as bongo, you just kind of drive and look for tracks. And obviously you're not using dogs, and obviously if there's a group you'll still follow, but you want to find a big bull track and head out that way. And it's a lot of miles and could be hot because you're getting towards working your way out of winter into spring during that time when you're there. And these animals are truly amazing. They're not necessarily bigger than a Cape eland body-wise, but their horns are significantly longer. A big Cape eland's 40 plus, a big Lord Derby's 50 plus. Like a true giant's 50 plus. And the horns go on forever, and they have these amazing side stripes. Are just amazing amazing bulls, something that I look forward to hunting one day. And then, like I said, you have the western giant eland, which is only hunted in Senegal at the moment. That is a similar type hunt to the other Lord Derby, and that's just how their two are broken up. So those are the big three when it comes to Africa. And then you have the 9 spiral horns, and to me, all the 9 spiral horns should fall into Glamour game personally. I believe that they're all beautiful in their own right and amazing. And so in that 9 spiral horns, you have your Sitatunga, your bushbuck, your Nyala, your mountain Nyala, your eland, your Lord Derby eland, your lesser kudu, your kudu. I'm missing one. Hold on. Bushbuck, and bongo. Sorry, bongo's on the list. I didn't have the bongo. So that's your 9 spiral horns, and they're found through a variety of subspecies and species throughout the continent. Bushbuck, there's many different species of those. We'll cover those in a minute, and they're scattered across Africa. Your Nyala, they're found down in southern Africa and parts of Namibia, parts of Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mozambique, and venturing into Botswana. And then you have your mountain Nyala, which I said before is only located in Ethiopia. Your bongo, same thing, Cameroon, Congo, CAR. I've already talked about the Lord Derby. Then you have different species of eland ranging throughout Africa as well. Same as the Sitatunga, they're ranging throughout Africa as well in that. Your lesser kudu, those species we talked about this in my kudu video, but those species are found in either Ethiopia or Tanzania. And then I went through and talked about the kudu species ranging from the Eastern Cape, Southern Greater, East African, Abyssinian, and Western Greater kudu. Those are the subspecies of that. So we'll dive into the eland now. We've already talked about the Lord Derby. So then we'll start from up there and work our way down into Uganda and Tanzania. You're going to have your East African eland, and then as you come down, you're going to start to get into your Livingston eland. That will be in parts of Mozambique, parts of Botswana, and in Zimbabwe, parts of Namibia as well. And then further down, you'll have your Cape eland, which will be most of South Africa up into parts of Namibia, borderline with Zimbabwe, and not Zimbabwe, borderline into Zimbabwe, borderline into Mozambique. Those are the species of eland that you have there, and then we'll go into the bushbuck. Starting out in South Africa, you have 2 species of bushbuck. A lot of people just call them both the same South Africa bushbuck, but they are classified as different subspecies through a lot of different literature and even SCI. So you have your Cape bushbuck, which is primarily found along the coastline, the Cape coastline of South Africa, and then you have your Limpopo bushbuck, which is further up into South Africa, obviously in the Limpopo province mainly, which borders up to Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Mozambique. And then you have your Chobe bushbuck, primarily found in Zimbabwe. Like I've talked before, the elephants have destroyed the Chobe region of Botswana, so there's very limited bushbuck still there. And then you will get your Chobe bushbuck even up into Zambia, and then from Zambia, the top of Zambia into Tanzania, you will have your East African bushbuck. And then as you go into Uganda further up, you'll have your Nile bushbuck, and then you have your Menelik bushbuck Then you have your Menelik bushbuck in Ethiopia, as well as your Abyssinian bushbuck. And then further into your West and Central Africa, you'll have your harness bushbuck, which would be like Burkina Faso, Cameroon, CAR, countries like that. That's where those bushbuck will be located. Alright, let's talk about the Sitatunga. There's 4 separate species of Sitatunga, so we'll start at your most southern race, which is your Zambezi Sitatunga, which is hunted in Zambia. And we're going to move up to the East Africa Sitatunga, which is primarily hunted in Uganda and in parts of Tanzania. Also in Uganda, you have a species called the Sesi Island Sitatunga. That is the only place that they're found. Sesi Island, Island, however you want to say it. Sesi Island Sitatunga, they're only hunted in Uganda. That's the only place for them. And then you're going to have your forest Sitatunga, which is found in the forest parts of Cameroon and the Congo. And primarily with a focus on being in Cameroon, there's some monsters taken in the Congo, but it's a very hard hunt. You're going to be sitting in machans a lot. In the Congo, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff with dogs. In Cameroon, hopefully getting lucky and catching one at a savanna, which is kind of like an open glade area. tall grass, marshy. You climb up a big ladder, kind of look out there, sort of like Machan, but not technically like a Machan that you find in the Congo more often. But those are the 4 species of Sitatunga. They're basically a swamp-dwelling creature. You're going to be hunting them out of Machans, pretty much everywhere besides Cameroon for the most part. You're going to be spending time overlooking papyrus reed beds. You're going to be looking over big swampy areas, and you're going to spend lots of time in a high-rise Machan waiting, hoping to catch a big Sitatunga out in the swamps. So that is your spiral horn, your 9 spiral horn species. I'll do a full in-depth video more on just those, but I'm going to go through the Glamour game still. Working through the Glamour game, I'm going to consider both sable and roan a part of this category. Both are amazing species, and they have several subspecies and variations. So the most common one is the common sable, and they're an amazing, beautiful jet black animal with white belly, white facial markings, big scimitar-shaped horns. They're probably the most glamorous game of all of the common Southern Africa game. And your common sable will be found in places like Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Zambia. Zambia is currently the one place that takes the biggest sable. Parts of Tanzania and Mozambique have what is known as the Roosevelt sable. They're found in northern Mozambique and in southern Tanzania, like the Sloot Game Reserve. Next up is the roan. The roan is one of the biggest antelope species in Africa next to the eland. They're giant bodies. They just look like bodybuilders. They're almost like a tan beige color, scimitar-shaped horns, but shorter than the sable, with different facial markings. They are primarily hunted throughout all of Africa. There are different subspecies found from the west to the south, to the southern coast. So we're going to start with the southern roan. It's found in places like South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, parts of Botswana, up into Zambia. Those are the common roan, or the southern roan more likely. And then you're going to have your East African roan, which will be in Tanzania and part of Uganda. And then you'll have your Sudanese roan, which is found in Uganda on the Sudanese border, the Sudan border. Then you'll go up into the western roan, which is found in Cameroon, Sayar, Benin, Burkina Faso, Senegal, and countries like that. Unfortunately, Benin and Burkina Faso are countries that are not hunted right now due to some war-stricken areas and some public unrest. So hopefully those areas come back to light soon and open up. There's a lot of other glamorous game in my eyes that you can hunt across Africa. A lot of the dominant or glamorous game like the Tiang, Corrigan, Topi, those are some specialty game that I think belong in the glamour game area. But I can make this list extremely long with what I believe is glamour game, because to me, it's all glamour game. Whether it's a big East African impala or the smallest bush duiker, they're all cool, amazing animals, but I'm just going to keep this kind of a small video to where it just highlights those main species that I added to it. And you know, the glamour game doesn't exclude like the leopard and the lion and stuff like that, but that's for a separate video on just the dangerous game of Africa. So guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and happy hunting and good luck on your next safari.